Cars are rather complicated machines, and a lot of people misunderstand a lot of their functions and terms relating to their parts. This usually results in them being a danger to others on the road because they're not properly maintaining their car. So we're going to talk about 5 dangerously misunderstood car functions. The first misunderstood function is the idea of regenerative braking. So the misconception is that people think regenerative braking makes their brakes last forever since they grow back. The reality is that's not at all what regenerative braking actually does. First and foremost, this is not a new technology. Trains and hybrid vehicles have been using this for decades, and some trains in fact had very rudimentary systems that involved this even almost a century ago. This is not some God's given gift by Elon Musk for Tesla specifically. It does not mean that the brakes regenerate material. I've actually had to explain this to a ton of Tesla fanboys. It's actually kind of embarrassing. Regenerative braking recovers kinetic energy that would normally be lost as heat when stopping. However, instead it converts it, or rather regenerates it, back to the electric motor. So you not only get brakes that last longer due to less heat strain, you also improve the range efficiency of your motor. It is increasing your range and hurting your brakes less. They are not literally regenerating your brakes. I repeat, your brakes are not growing back. Regenerative braking by itself is not sufficient enough as the sole means of safely stopping all vehicles. This is why a lot of cars that are electric or hybrid still have normal physical friction-based brakes. For example, stopping or parking on a hill still requires a traditional friction-based brake. Also, regenerative brakes aren't very effective at lower speeds, so in bumper-to-bumper traffic or in city traffic, it's better to still rely on a friction brake system because it makes sense when you think about it. There's not much kinetic energy being made when you're going super duper slow, therefore you're not really getting much benefit from the system. So they still have to be equipped with standard brakes to stop the car from rear-ending the guy in front of them when they're constantly braking. So, to my brother's moronic corporate friends who genuinely believe that they never need to replace their brakes on a Tesla, please replace your brake pads. One of them in specific, I'm not going to name them, but he literally is driving his Tesla. He's at like 60k miles of it right now. He bought it used, and he's grinding metal on metal. I wish this was a joke, but you can find a lot of these style of comments on Tesla fan pages, and a lot of Tesla owners themselves literally say things like, "This is the future. We don't even need to buy replacement brakes anymore. They grow back." If you own a Tesla, for your own sake and also for the safety of others, please still follow proper brake maintenance. You still need the physical brakes. You still need to take care of them and replace them. Otherwise, you are literally going to put your life and someone else's life in danger. That's the main point of this video. It's one thing to put your own life in danger at a stupid decision, but it's another thing to put other people's lives in danger due to an uninformed, stupid assumption. Your Tesla is still a car. While Teslas don't have an engine to worry about, they still require normal car maintenance for everything else. From brakes to suspension to tires, they all still wear down and need to ultimately be replaced. Speaking of tires, that brings us to the second misconception, is that retreading tires means I never have to buy new tires. So retreading is a manufacturing process, or rather remanufacturing process, that takes the casings of used up tires and applies new tread to them. Now, not every casing is able to be retreaded. Depending on where you live, strict standards will apply to what can or can't be retreaded due to safety regulations. Also, especially if the tire itself just straight up looks like it's dangerous or doesn't have enough surface to even retread on, obviously you're not going to be able to retread it. The reason retreading was invented was because it's a fantastic way to recycle used tires, and it preserves almost all of the important material of the tire and also saves a ton of money for the people who do it and purchase it, as well as for the companies that make the tires. Modern retreading is a lot safer than past methods because I will admit, past methods of retreading, some of which just straight up involved gluing it and heating it down to the tire, it wasn't really safe, but modern retreading usually is done via a mold cure process. It's basically just as safe as an actual tire, again depending on the safety regulations of what country you lives in and what standards they hold it up to. Now let's talk about the 2 misconceptions that forward. People like to genuinely think that, oh, because retreaded tires are a thing, I don't ever need to buy new tires. So I'm going to address why you never needing to buy a new tire or replacement tire isn't always true, because the reality is the road is unpredictable. If your tire is punctured in the non-repairable zone or is damaged in a sense where the casing itself is no longer structurally integral or structurally safe, you do need to buy a new replacement tire, because the way retreading works is that it relies on the safety and durability of the casing still being usable. If the casing is damaged or the shoulder of your tire or any other unrepairable zone is punctured thoroughly enough and damaged thoroughly enough, you do need to get a new tire. Trust in the experts themselves who do the retreading. If they say it's not safe. I know it sucks to want to spend more money, but you gotta listen to their advice, because not only are you danger on the road to yourself, you're a danger to the road to everyone else, because when your vehicle fails, you could slide and kill other people. Now, the second misconception goes along with the very first entry in this video. Once again, I've had friends in Silicon Valley who for some reason literally think that retreading or retreadable tires means it's a tire capable of healing itself. No, a retreadable tire still needs to be physically brought to someone, a professional, and then physically be given a replacement tread to then heal itself. It does not heal itself on the fly. A lot of people think that we've already reached that technology. Yes, we have that Goodyear video of them showing off tires that are regenerating on the fly, but guess what? Even those still need to have liquid pumped into it every now and then. So the point I'm trying to make is that nothing in this world comes without a cost. That's a basic understanding of matter. Matter doesn't just come from nowhere. Your tires will not just automatically heal without anything being added to it. So you do need to physically bring it somewhere to be retreaded. And even with those Goodyear super uber advanced tires, they still need to have liquid pumped into them before they can heal themselves. Another misconception, more technology means safer. So, not all technology, especially safety features, function perfectly. A very good example are blind spot monitors. Most of these are not optimized to detect bicyclists, motorcycles, or pedestrians, and a lot of them will struggle to detect low roofline vehicles, so like low-slung exotics. So if a supercar is next to them, or any other low-slung vehicle like a slammed S15 Silvia, or even in my case, I'm low enough, for a split second, these sensors don't properly judge where it actually is relative to them. A test was conducted by AAA in 2016 that found it really common for a lot of these sensors to fail to register sports cars and motorcycles in a timely manner. If they are registered, they're detected significantly later, a 26% delay, which means the driver may have already started to move into the lane of the sports car or motorcyclist and therefore put their life in danger. Some of these systems straight up miss motorcycles entirely and just don't register them. So for your own sake and the safety of others, it's still worth shoulder checking and visually confirming it's safe to change lanes, especially in a crowded city where there are always pedestrians and cyclists and motorcyclists around. If you don't like shoulder checking and rotating your body past 90 degrees to look over your shoulder, then just buy a blind spot mirror instead, because unlike monitors, mirrors can literally never lie to you as they reflect an item that is within their view. A cyclist will still show up on a mirror. Even if they don't show up on a monitor, they will show up on a mirror. Unless they are a mythical vampire that is immune to being shown up on mirrors, there is zero chance a mirror will not show what is literally being reflected / refracted on them. We all give off a decent amount of light because there's really a giant light in the sky that's making us reflect things back, with a few exceptions. When it's nighttime, said giant light in the sky, aka Sol, our sun, is not there. We instead have to deal with our moon Luna, which is not always out all the time. During nighttime, you still want to visually check, especially directly adjacent to you, because if someone doesn't have their headlights on, you won't see their headlights reflected on blind spot mirrors even, and if they are in an all black car, that's gonna make it even harder to see them. So, and at nighttime especially, I probably would still recommend looking directly past 90 degrees beyond your shoulder, just in case there's someone driving without headlights. Misconception, lower car payments a month means I'm saving money. Reality, lower car payments is not always a good thing. While everything else in this video was dangerous to other people in a physical sense, this is dangerous to your wallet and also maybe to your mental sense as well, because how much money you have can also determine how everything else in your life goes and your state of emotional sanity. APR and monthly terms are very, very important. If there's anything that this car market craze taught me, a lot of my full-grown adult friends do not remember primary school mathematics. If you have a 400 credit score, which is usually what you have when you come right out of college, you should still net at worst 15% APR on things. If you have under 600 credit score, you can usually get 10% APR at worst. Now, you're probably wondering, well, Bladed, why is it that I see things that are 29%, even 40%, even the worst I've seen was 86.99%, and I genuinely remember sighing, the most disappointed sigh in my life, as I realized it was some guy who was buying a Hellcat. The reason APR can go beyond what we're used to is because people are stupid enough to take extremely low monthly payments as well as extremely long loan terms. The average loan period is moving towards 84 months. The average loan period. meaning that there are people who are taking a lot higher than 84. That means for all the people taking 60 and 72, there's someone taking 96 or even 120, which is causing the average to sit at 84. There's a recurring meme that you should never ask a woman her weight and you should never ask a man his APR. But I'm not scared because the defense of it's my money, you can't judge how I spend it. Wrong. It's the bank's money, not your money. So I'm definitely going to judge how you're being played because you are being played, and I'm trying to save you from the absolute predatory nature of those banks that are using you. They're taking money that you haven't even received yet, and they're literally just you. There's no other good term I can use to describe the stupidity of people who are foolish enough. Let's talk about this mathematically. Just divide them by 12. 144 months is 12 years of your life. Are you actually going to keep that car for 12 years? 120 months is 10 years of your life. Again, are you going to keep that? 5 years or 60 months used to be the standard loan period, but within a few years it skipped over 72 and just went 84. So, and if we talk about APR as well, when APR is spread over that long period, you're basically buying the car over again in certain circumstances. So 10% APR for 72 months on a 60 grand vehicle, most people would just say, okay, that's just going to be 10% of 60 grand, right? Wrong. When over a 72 month period, it actually results in almost $20,000 more dollars. That's 1/3 the price. So even though it says 10% and not 33%, because the loan period is long over the duration of the loan period, it basically makes you pay a lot more. Now imagine that with 15%, even 29%, or even 40 or 86.99% like I mentioned earlier. You are basically buying the car over, especially when you combine it with a 144 month loan period. A lot of people underestimate their gullibility. They bait you by throwing a very easy to digest number. What people do understand, people don't want to calculate months and percentages over those months and whatever, and what goes to principal and what goes to interest. What they do care about is monthly payment. They care about the number written in front of them, like, oh, I can get a Hellcat for $300 a month. Wow, another place told me I can only get like a base model Ford Mustang GT for $300 a month. The difference is for the Ford Mustang GT would have been $300 a month for 4.2% APR over 60 months, versus the Hellcat, which they're now going to take, while it is also $300 a month and also is quote unquote a faster, more powerful, more expensive vehicle. They're being tricked because if you look at the other numbers, they're getting screwed on the interest and the loan period. That is how they trick you guys. They trick works on car guys in particular because car guys want to jump the gun. They don't want to start with base models. They want, now clout culture has pushed it to where they feel pressured into getting the higher end trims. This even works with Lamborghinis and exotics, as even exotic car dealerships are trying to get yuppies money. If you don't know what a yuppie is, it's someone who's in their young 20s who just came fresh out of college, who now makes like lots of money. A lot of them are single, they're reckless, life is new, and with clout culture, they're like, hey, I want a supercar. Funny thing is they just straight up crash the supercar because they don't know how to handle its power. That's another reason you shouldn't just skip straight to a powerful vehicle. But the more concerning fact is the fact that they're baited into buying a depreciating asset with a loan period of 12 years, terrible APR rate, just because the monthly payment was low. So the number one takeaway for this is do not be tricked into a longer loan term with high APR just because the monthly payment is low. If you don't want to do the math, there are so many free online APR and monthly rate calculators online. Use one of them before you go to a dealership so you at least have numbers fixated in your head to know when your I'm being screwed point is reached. I made a whole video about Noob's Guide to Financing. Just watch that if you want to know what rates you should be looking for, because I gotta get off this topic because I'm getting too irritated. So the final misconception of this video is that overdrive makes my car go faster. Now, reality is that it makes you accelerate very slowly, so not fast. Overdrive essentially is your final gear in your vehicle. It's one that is outside or over your vehicle's normal range of driving speed, hence the name overdrive. Its main purpose is cruising comfortably and getting good gas mileage, and it reduces drivetrain feedback and minimizes engine braking feel. To better illustrate this, let's use one of my own cars as an example. In my C7 Z06, she is capable of reaching her top speed in 7th gear, but the car is an 8 gear vehicle. So a lot of people would think, so logic would dictate the number 8 comes after 7, therefore 8th gear should be 204 miles an hour onwards, and this is where the misconception of kick it into overdrive comes from, where people think overdrive is faster than all their normal gears. Here's the funny thing, my 8th gear actually kicks in as low as 60 miles an hour, because again, it's just meant as a cruising gear. It is not actually a power gear, it does not not actually provide a higher top speed to my vehicle. It is purely meant to only be entered and used for just cruising and saving gas mileage. However, if I try to accelerate aggressively in 8th gear, it's going to make tons of noise, go nowhere, and it's going to lug the engine, which is not good for long-term health. The main use of my 8th gear or overdrive gear is to cruise and hold a certain speed without engine braking too much and wasting gas. You can still accelerate in your overdrive gear, but you have to slowly, gently nudge forward. So if I wanted to go 60 miles an hour and just hold that speed, I can just sit in 8th gear and that won't damage the car, and that's going to get fantastic gas mileage. If I actually wanted to pass someone, go up a hill, or go fast and eat ass, then I'm going to have to downshift from her 8th gear back into one of the non-overdrive gears, which is referred to as actual power gears. In short, the phrase "kick it into overdrive" is a terrible phrase that should stop being used because it spawned a misconception for an entire generation of younglings to think overdrive is the fastest way a car can move, when in fact it's actually the slowest, most comfortable, most fuel efficient way to go. So it'd be more accurate to say, let's save gas, relax, and sit back and do overdrive. Anyways, I hope this video cleared up some misunderstandings and misconceptions, and even if you didn't have a misunderstanding, maybe I taught you something new about how something functions. Some of you may never even heard of regenerative braking, or even knew retreading tires was even a thing, so you might even use those to save money now. If you enjoyed this video and love automotive content, make sure to like it and make sure to subscribe. It helps out a lot on this channel and helps me do what I keep do. Other than that, see y'all next time. Blade Angel out.